Good evening. We got a great show. I'm going to be talking Bitcoin. I'm hesitant to even bring this up and give it more attention, but it's worth addressing this movement attacking Bitcoin. Hashtag change the code or clean up Bitcoin. They have the stated goal to stop Bitcoin from polluting the planet. And their solution is so simple. Just change the code, right? Sounds reasonable, just a little code, just change it. If you go on their website, you can read how proof of work puzzle solving is contributing to climate change. Okay, it says, we know the crypto community is overwhelmingly motivated by a sense of progress, fairness, and good intentions. Many advocates are vocal about addressing climate change. The dream of so many early crypto innovators is within reach. But only if the industry gets serious about crypto that runs on low energy. We know crypto doesn't need much energy to work. Many newer cryptocurrencies are low consumers of energy or carbon neutral because they use a better model. Proof of stake. Notice how they aren't saying the word Bitcoin, because if they were saying Bitcoin, they would have to address that Bitcoin would be pointless if censorship resistance was compromised. It would be a fraud. There would be no reason to use Bitcoin over a centrally controlled digital dollar or digital euro. If certain transactions can be blocked by a large stakeholder, then Bitcoin would be a big waste of time. The richest person in Bitcoin needs to play by the same rules as the poorest. The smartest, coolest, sexy computer guy who has a bunch of friends, they need to have the same Bitcoin rules as Joe the plumber. But none of that gets mentioned. Like a lot of politics, I'm sure there are people involved with this group who are genuine. They care about the environment, as we all do, and think just forking the Bitcoin code would help. They're dumb. They know not what they do. There are already numerous forks that exist and that have been proposed that see no usage. The concerning individuals involved with this marketing campaign are the ones who know better, who have another motivation. These are the true evil actors. Who has millions of dollars lying around for both digital and print advertising? Doesn't take much digging to find Chris Larson as the source of funding. Wow, he must really just love the environment. Chris Larson is also the co-founder of Ripple, but that is unrelated. He gave a quote to Fortune magazine, "I could see a world where Ethereum becomes more valuable than Bitcoin because of the energy issue. And shouldn't that be a concern for the Bitcoin community?" There are more forces at work here besides just Greenpeace. Who benefits from Bitcoin changing the code and becoming centralized? The powers that be. They don't want Bitcoin squiggling around out there like a slippery worm where they can't get their hands on it. They want a nice limp worm where they can grab onto it and control it. Of course, government, Ethereum, big business, Ripple, but I repeat myself, love proof of stake code. Proof of stake benefits the rich, the 1%. Makes it easy for them to change the rules. So this little marketing campaign is just that, little, but expect more of this in the future. At some point, it will be a national debate, and all kinds of dirty tricks are going to get pulled. And everyone's going to get pulled into it. We all care about the environment, all right? Whether you're a hippie, a banker, you like cows, you like the sunset, okay, we all care. But just remember, proof-of-stake coins, proof-of-stake projects empower the 1%. The rich people will keep pushing their thumb on you with proof-of-stake. Proof of work that Bitcoin uses, admittedly, uses a lot of work, a lot of electricity. But the benefit to that is security. It means that any Bitcoin you have is just as useful, valuable, and secure as any Bitcoin the 1%er has. You know, proof of stake just makes it too easy to change the rules. We can't give up censorship resistance. So, since we're talking about the powers that be, who exactly are these people? Who's in charge of the country? Who pulls the strings? And what do they think about Bitcoin? We'll answer 2 of those questions coming up next.
Love, exciting and new. Come aboard, we're expecting you. And love, life's sweetest reward. Let it flow, it floats back to you. The love boat soon we'll be making another run. The love boat promises something for everyone.
Would you tell me why you do what you do? Would you tell me where you come from? What did your grandfather do? What did your father do? And you start developing a relationship that we don't really know how to do, because you can't do that through the digital space in which we live in anymore. You have to go out there with an intentionality that you know that if you have a chance to actually develop trust and respect with somebody, the American rancher producer is the person you need to be talking to.
I had to go through a lot of unlearning, deprogramming, unschooling, however you want to put it, to think through, okay, what do I value? How do I want to think? What's important to me? And then being able to center, my life around that. Food is your medicine.
46% of our children in the United States right now were either obese or overweight. 1 out of 2 are going towards diabetes. That's the children that are 5 years old, man. If you do not realize truly that is a fucking genocide, you need to wake up. This is serious. It's happening. And they're hiding it from the general public. It's times like these that we define who we are.
Welcome back. We're going to look at some politicians here in the US and their support for Bitcoin. Now, obviously, there are more to these people than this one particular issue, but we can only cover so much. I can't tell you who is a good moral person, just if they like Bitcoin. These are the people who are supposed to be ruling over us, making decisions, so it's important to pay attention and at least give some credit to the politicians who support Bitcoin and call out the losers who don't. Cynthia Lummis, a senator from Wyoming, by far and away the most pro-Bitcoin senator. She's claimed to own Bitcoin since 2013, so if that's true, I mean, she really is an OG. For context, the Silk Road was still operating in 2013, so by any definition, she was an early adopter. The stakes in Wyoming may be a little less than a heavily populated state like New York or California, but her vote counts just as much as a senator from the coast. So, feels good to see a high-ranking government official promote Bitcoin and actively challenge the narrative that it's only used for bad activity. Senator Lummis is probably our biggest advocate for Bitcoin in the Senate, so let's hope she avoids scandal. Elizabeth Warren, senator from Massachusetts, seems to go out of her way to trash Bitcoin. In my opinion, she's looking to create news. Part of politics is getting people to just pay attention. And I think she comes out with these bold statements, partly because she believes it, but mostly she thinks it's an easy wedge issue to get engagement, get people talking. The senator is intelligent enough to know there's some nuance to Bitcoin, and she chooses to simplify the issue, making it out to be some kind of emergency. We don't love to see it, but as Jameson Lopp has pointed out, Warren has introduced 315 bills with only one turning into a law, a 0.32% success rate. So don't let Elizabeth Warren keep you up at night. Ron Paul, more of an honorable mention, Papa Ron. He's out of politics now, but still commands a following. I think he's had some medical issues, and the man is 87, so he's not going to be running any campaigns soon, but as far as a leader and a figurehead, he deserves respect. Ron understood gold, he understood hard money and the importance of individual rights, so of course he understood Bitcoin. His 2012 presidential campaign was a magical time. People remember the left had a real grassroots movement in 2016 with Bernie Sanders that was thwarted by the powers that be. But it was just 4 years earlier, 2012, that the right experienced the same thing with Ron Paul. 2012, if you look up old school Bitcoin memes, you'll notice the image quality is bad, they aren't that funny, and they usually incorporate Ron Paul. Jumping off from Ron, we have his son Rand Paul, senator from Kentucky. He also signaled support for Bitcoin, coming out and saying he would accept Bitcoin donations for his run for president. And his support is more than just performance. He did actual work introducing a bill, the Cryptocurrency Tax Fairness Act, that aimed to exempt crypto transactions from being taxed if they were under $600. For some reason, the U.S. has wanted to treat Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency not as money, but as property. So they are subject to capital gains tax when you use it. It makes no sense to treat both the sale of a house or a boat the same way as when you use 0.1 Litecoin to buy juicy fruit gum. It just doesn't make sense. Tracking this information is not realistic, so taxes in crypto remain a complicated and changing subject. obviously I'm in favor of anything that makes things more simple. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City. He likes being in the news, lots of interesting things going on with him, so it almost got lost in the mix when he said he would take his paycheck as mayor in Bitcoin. But he followed through with this and got paychecks turned into Bitcoin and Ethereum. Pretty cool to see. He may have lied about being a vegan, but he's sneakily been a Bitcoin advocate. There's footage from 2015 and some speech he mentioned it too, so there you go. I suspect he has aspirations for higher office, so he may change his position if it suits his career, but you can't get in trouble for something you haven't done yet. Andrew Yang, again, cheating a little bit. Andrew Yang is not actually in government at this time, but he's been pretty persistent in trying to get into it, so one day he may very well be. His campaigns, while not successful, have started conversation about crypto, birthed a new political party, and given us lots of cringe material to laugh at. I think Andrew Yang is more interested in technology in a broad sense than actually advocating specifically for Bitcoin, but I consider that still a win. Ted Cruz, senator from Texas. Ted Cruz had a very humbling 2016. He had to beg Trump for a job after getting embarrassed on the debate stage and having Trump insult Ted's wife. A rumor that he was the Zodiac serial killer spread. In one of my favorite political polls of all time, 28% of Florida voters said they were not sure if he was the Zodiac serial killer. They were not sure. But incredibly, 10% believed that he was the Zodiac serial killer. Just amazing, intelligent people in Florida. My point is, since then, Ted Cruz has rebuilt himself. He grew a beard, seems popular again in his home state, and most importantly, has been one of the most articulate Bitcoin advocates in the United States Senate. Nick Carter transcribed one of his sit-down conversations, and it just really illustrates that Ted Cruz understands Bitcoin on a deeper level than probably most of his peers, and he understands that his state, Texas, is in a unique position to capitalize on Bitcoin mining. For all the creepiness and weird things about him, he gets Bitcoin and is worth paying attention to. Barry Moore, representative from Alabama, made some disclosures buying some digital currency, so you might think, oh, okay, good stuff, but upon closer inspection, there's some red flags. For one, his real name is Felix, and he's not buying Bitcoin. What's number one bit mandament? No altcoins. This guy is buying Doge, Ethereum, and Cardano. Cardano, come on. He also misspelled Ethereum, just very, very shameful. Not sure what to make of that. I mean, I guess he has an open mind to the technology, but it sounds like he's going to have to do some learning. Patrick McHenry, a representative from North Carolina, he holds the chair position on the House Financial Services Committee and is allegedly trying to do his job to get Democrats and Republicans to work together on some type of crypto legislation. His social media reveals that McHenry has made several positive comments about crypto, and he even says the B word every once in a while, so good stuff. Brad Sherman, representative from California. Listen, I'm not going to say anything about his looks. I know it's not easy going through life looking a certain way. I'm going to focus on his actions, and those are ugly enough. He's come to the attention of Bitcoiners by calling them tax evaders, men who sit on the couch talking about get-rich-quick schemes to their wives, money launderers, No one does that with printed money. Those criticisms only come up for Bitcoin. He's the most vocal anti-Bitcoin politician. The fact that 8 legacy financial firms donate money to him is unrelated. Gordon Gekko says greed is good. For Brad Sherman, he says, yes, the dollar is manipulated. That's good. Printing money so you never run out, endless war, never needing to worry about loans or deficits because it's all funny money. Oh, you thought saving your whole life would help your kids? No, we just printed a $1 trillion coin. It's $19 now for a $5 footlong from Subway. The price of the brick is going to keep going up. He's put out bills that will compel Bitcoin users to track and report their transactions, but notice what they're called. Russian Digital Asset Sanctions Compliance Act and the Closing Loopholes in Russia Sanctions Act. It's not to kill Bitcoin, it's to defeat Russia. Obviously, many legislators agree there needs to be some regulation, but few treat Bitcoin like a threat to national security the way Sherman does. Bitcoin is a threat, but only if the U.S. fails to adopt it. Bill Foster, representative from Illinois, there's a smattering of comments he's made, but seems to have this idea that blockchains are important, not Bitcoin. Just not an educated opinion, but that's okay. Many people fall into that same trap. What's more silly is when he says Bitcoin is used by criminals and that's a problem because it's not legally traceable. Wants to make a law allowing for crypto transactions to be reversed. Calls for the U.S. to create a digital dollar. You know, it's just silly. It's anti-Bitcoin, but really it's anti-freedom and frankly, anti-American. Donald Trump. You would think if anyone could empathize with autists, it would be Trump, but he appears to have loyalties elsewhere. The infamous Trump Bitcoin tweet where he said he's not a fan was a huge letdown. And real quick, Joe Biden, our commander-in-chief, our president, to be honest, does it actually matter what Joe Biden thinks about Bitcoin? He's not making decisions. And lastly, RFK Jr., the Kennedy family today, compared to the Kennedy family of the past, has lost a lot of swag. RFK Jr. and Joe Kennedy just don't have the thing JFK, Bobby, and Ted seemed to possess. So while he might be a little odd, RFK of today gave probably the most important Bitcoin speech of 2023 at the recent Bitcoin conference in Miami. The chances that he will become president are slim, but the chances that his voice will be heard across the country is very high. And for him to be preaching Bitcoin is pretty exciting. He's not a political juggernaut you would typically associate with the Kennedys, but he's got the name. And that puts him in the position to be very influential for Bitcoin. So, there you go. And hey, listen, if you're not happy with who is out there, follow Kanye's advice. If you can do it better than me, then you do it. If you are of age, get out there and advocate. There are a few Bitcoin-focused advocacy groups that may be worth checking out. Just like any other group, Bitcoiners should be allowed to advocate for their interests while we still can. Thanks for watching.
Love, exciting and new. Come aboard, we're expecting you. And love, life's sweetest reward. let it flow. It flows back to you.